All right, we're back with another episode of Inside the Mind of a Husker podcast. Today's guest is a student athlete from the University of Nebraska Lincoln. He is a senior track and field athlete, and his name is Michael Knowles. Michael, how are we doing today?
Doing well, doing great for sure.
Good. So, my first question for you, sir, is tell us all where you're from and how that has impacted you and the person you are today.
Well, I'm actually from Omaha, Nebraska, so literally right down the street.
I've
So
heard of that place, yeah.
yeah, definitely heard of that place for sure. But yeah, I grew up in kind of Westo and like in between Westo and North Omaha. So like I got kind of the best of both worlds, if you want to say so. I grew up in kind of the ghetto area over there, and was around a lot of people, not obviously like my skin color and the West Side of Omaha. But I feel like overall, it shaped me to be the person I am today for sure. Met a lot of mentors on both areas, so I think in general it's just helped me be the person I am today. I've learned a lot for sure.
And Michael, you and I, although years apart, I won't say who's older, but we went to the same middle school as well. And my family also being growing up in North O and then also West Omaha for most of my life. We have a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences too. And we're going to learn more about that today. Michael, you're also someone who's a big advocate for mental health. You know, people talking about how they're feeling and if they're not okay, that it's okay to talk about it.
Hmm.
You into therapy?
Uh, well, honestly, before I even get into the therapy thing, I mean for sure, one of the biggest things was mental health was something that I always had to like kind of realize. It kind of took me a while to really figure out like what is that for me, because many of the times, like I like for me when growing up, I was like I believed in mental health. I understood like all these things because like I was always even when I was younger, like I had cousins that actually had mental problems, like actually like that physically enabled like that didn't help them and like mentally. But really when it comes down to like being quote unquote normal, I didn't really know what that was. And understanding that through kind of like my experiences through high school, taking a psychology class and my mom being a psych major and all that stuff. So learning all that things was like great. And then therapy actually what brought me in. I actually had went through something in life, a breakup for sure, that that changed a lot of things. And before I even that even happened, one of the biggest things was like, who am I and what am I? What is my purpose? What are these things that are very core? What are my core values? What are all these things? And I couldn't answer that question. And I answered that question by going to therapy, kind of looking myself in the mirror and getting that glimpse of reality. So therapy has helped me be a greater person. Thanks to you and Kate for sure.
What are some of those core values, Michael, that you have found in helping you?
Um, One of my biggest core values, I would say, is family. Family means everything to me for sure. Family, trust, like you trust, and then being patient for sure. Understanding them things, and that was big because another reason why I went to therapy for sure was also try to commit suicide and had anger management issues and anxiety and depression, all these things that I didn't even really knew were that huge of a thing that were like limiting me from being me and not allowing me to really live my life. So yeah, that was like very pivotal for me to kind of figure out where all these problems came from and really trying to understand how to cope and what are my coping mechanisms and all that stuff. I like to call it my toolbox for sure. So yeah.
It's a great word for it, Michael. So I
Hmm.
appreciate you opening up and being honest about your history with, suicidal ideation and depression. And, Michael, do you think you could have ever saw yourself, whether it was a before college or 10 years ago, being this open about talking about this?
Funny thing is, I actually had a conversation with my brother like a couple weeks back, and the biggest thing I talked about was like, like I never realized like how life is, like how like as a kid you have all these expectations. Like one of my biggest things in high school, I'll just start there. I wanted to be with the person that used to be with like so bad. Like I wanted to be with her, and I wanted to go Division 1 in track, and I wanted to do well in college. All right, so I went to JUCO. I had to kind of go the backdoor route. Had to find my way, find myself, make sure I really was committed. And literally, I want to say, like, if you would have told me, yeah, if you would have told me that in high school, and I got to Division 1, and I was with the person I was with, and I had all these things at my disposal, I'd be like, yo, I'm living my best life. But honestly, internally, I was driving myself crazy. I didn't know who I was, and to be honest, no, I would think I would call you crazy, because I would all these things that I thought I really wanted weren't what made me happy. Like, all these things that I found in life that caused me so like that I thought would cause me so much joy ended up not causing me the most satisfaction overall in my life. So realizing that and actually realizing what makes me happy was huge for sure.
Michael, growing up, you and I, especially in the world we live in
Hmm.
today, sometimes it's even more capitalized. We talked about race too,
Hmm.
especially like code switching and how at an early age you learned what that was. You want to talk about more on that aspect? 'Cause I know you have a passion for it, and also if race has played a role being a black man in your initial idea of talking about mental
Um,
health.
I never really realized this, and I'll tell you a story real quick. So me and my brother were driving down to I want to say we're driving down to my JUCO. Actually, I'll tell you two stories. We're driving down to JUCO. I was with my friend. I was with my brother, and I kind of was speeding, and I was in a rental, so I was scared. So I saw a cop, and I instantly, and this is weird, and I feel like it's only well, it pertains to people in color for sure, but definitely black males. Uh, I tensed up, and I had to act completely perfect. That's crazy if you think about it. Like, this person that's going to pull me over is here to protect and serve. But as soon as I seen them, I instantly try to become this perfect human being, and that is crazy. That is like absolutely insane. And it didn't that when that situation hit home and I got pulled over, and the officer immediately assumed that it wasn't my car, asked me to step out, sit with them. Obviously, they were cool about it and all that stuff, but like during that entire time, I was losing my mind. And my brother had just woke up from taking a nap, and he was completely caught off guard. And they wanted to see his ID. He reached for his ID, and it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, all right, so all these things that are playing out before I just go back to school and run and just try to enjoy my life was crazy. And realizing that was huge. And another story I would say, like at Buffett, ironically, I met a mentor who actually taught me like how to properly handle yourself, and just in life and in general, being black and understanding code switching, how to use these things that many people think, and I thought was like, honestly, I thought it was a problem, like that I had to conform and all these things, but it wasn't conforming. Really, it's just using these things and these teachings like code switching. I learned how to shake a hand properly, how to just kind of read the room, and using that ability to read the room from when I was a kid, and I can tell that someone was just off. Their energy was off, and I can tell from just being in a classroom setting. I know what when stuff might pop off, when stuff might not pop off, and using these skills in a literally in a professional setting allows me to be the perfect candidate. So learning that these things that hold us back as minorities are actually what's going to propel us to go forward was one of the biggest lessons I learned. And honestly, one of the things I'm most proud of for sure.
And Michael, you are an example of somebody moving forward and feeling those benefits, especially since coming to therapy. And your growth has just been and really an honor to watch, and knowing how much you still have to reach your full potential. And with that, I'm curious, like, what are your future goals beyond track in
Um,
college? You're a senior. You're graduating
I
when?
plan on trying to graduate in the fall, so hopefully that works out. But yeah, my goal actually is to become a doctor, and this has been a process for sure that has taken me a long time. I was there the entire process when my sister was pregnant in high school, and I was there when my sister did her checkups. I was there when she gave birth, and just seeing my mom, who also is who works in research. She's done many research projects with like cancer, type 2 diabetes, all these things that like you don't really kind of think about. And being there also with my grandpa, who's like my one of I would say one of my role models for sure, and a pioneer in my life that has like allowed me to be the person I am today for sure. And all them things and all them three things alone has allowed me to kind of propel forward and kind of kind of like the other mentors that I have that are doctors for sure. And yeah, trying to go to med school, trying to be impactful for real, try to spark change if I can for sure.
I think Dr. Michael Knowles has a nice ring to it. So, Michael, you've had some great people in your corner, which leads to my next question. What have you learned about yourself since beginning college 3 years ago? And what are the coping strategies you've utilized to help you with your mental health that others could also find helpful?
So
Part one and part two.
yeah, that's a great question for sure because I have a lot, and that's the thing that I didn't even know. So I used to meditate when I was in middle school, for sure. So I meditate. Um, Obviously, the religion is the biggest thing. I actually just recently converted to Muslim, so that was beautiful. That was beautiful to come through and be fruition for sure. So um, drawing, I used to do when I was a kid. That brings me joy. I draw daily. Obviously, working out because I gotta get my PRs for sure. Um, what else? Plenty other things. Anime. Watch plenty of anime. I talk stuff with my homies on the game. Listen to music. I like making playlists. Uh, I also play the piano sometimes whenever I have the chance. So I like learning new things, whether it's on YouTube or just trying to figure out certain scales like B minor and all that stuff. So all these things that really shape me and kind of identify me and stuff that allows me to unplug and really find that center again for sure. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Michael, one thing we talked about too is your support network and identifying different people for different reasons to talk to them. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's something that not many of us think of. Like sometimes we just think of having a group of people, but then with you, one thing I really found interesting and appreciate is you identify certain people for different topics to help you.
Exactly. So that was actually something that I always knew that I had to have, like early on. Like I don't know. I feel like I was really ahead of the curve when it comes to like people in my friend group for sure. But no, like one of the biggest things that I made sure was like I'm very guarded with my time and my energy. I'm very guarded. And that kind of can lead to like me not being as open. So when I do that and I actually give you that, when I actually give you the time and energy for that, um, I make sure that there's certain things that I have similar, but that you're probably better at. So my friend group, I have a couple friends I won't have to name and all that stuff, but well, actually, no, I'll name them. So I have like three people that I went to JUCO with. My guys to this day, we always talk stuff. They give me a very different perspective on the experience of being black. Uh, my homie Terry actually gives me a very good perspective on being just being strong in your faith, and that was like very very important for me because I didn't know how to identify that. Chelsea was very huge on just being yourself and not and being unapologetically yourself. My other best friend, she's been pivotal in just making sure that yo like you good, like just making sure that I'm here, like I'm focused. I'm really focused on what I'm trying to do, and two other and a couple other people recently just that I met. They've been helpful for sure, and just making sure that I'm taking care of myself, and that's huge. And Dewan's been helpful. Sammy Calgar was mad helpful for sure. She gives a different perspective on things, and yeah, just having conversations like that. And also, a very important conversation now I think about it. I kind of I don't mean to go away from this, but Tierra Williams had like a very very powerful talk that I had talked to her about in the summer, and it was very important to say like, yo, like you can only control what you can control, and that was very huge and honestly important to hear. And understanding that and knowing that what that looks like for yourself, and understanding that you have to be patient and it takes time, and everything's a process, and you have to fall in love with the grind for sure to understand that. And then obviously you for sure, and understanding like understanding that these people that you have in your life in your corner allow you to be you, and they help rise you. They don't defy you, if that makes sense too, but they help definitely make you grow for sure.
And Michael, we're going to get back to that. One thing I'd like to mention too, there was, if you want to call it a rally that you spoke at, can you share for people who weren't there the purpose of that and what you were hoping Nebraska will take away from that?
So I'm a part of the group called the Minority Student Athlete Collection, and our whole goal is to amplify the minority student athletes of color, help educate them, and bring light to situations that are going on in the world, like police brutality and all these things that we kind of don't, that we as athletes want to talk about but haven't had the chance or opportunity. I feel like that group's been great for me and other people for sure. It's a very family atmosphere thing, so that's important for sure. But I think the rally went great, and I feel like it served a great purpose in understanding like, hey, like this is an opportunity as an athlete and honestly as a person to use your voice and your platform. And I feel like that was huge to have it out in front of the stadium and talk about these things that a lot of people take for granted. And the rally was great. All the people that spoke was great. I loved Sadio's speech. I loved Emily's speech. I loved everybody's speech. Sam did amazing. Ben did great, and like everybody did amazing. It was very powerful for sure. And my speech was very short and sweet and cut to the point. But my biggest takeaway was I quoted Malcolm X, who's ironically from Omaha, ironically, and very influential person in my life. And I feel like it was important to bring him up because he's from Nebraska. He's talking about the same things we talk about. And I think that's the most important thing to talk, like to shed a light on is like, hey, if me and you have like, it's important to identify that me and you aren't too different, no matter what skin color we are, no matter what it is. Like for real, we're not different at all, man. Like for real, we're just human.
And I was there along with our sports psych team. And Michael, you did, like you were saying, everybody else did awesome. You did awesome too, closing it out. And it was a great moment for all of us to hear all of you use your platform and bring awareness to racial injustice. Michael, what is something you hope listeners take away from our conversation today?
Um, I think one of the biggest things that my homie actually had a really good quote. His name's KJ. He said, "Bro, like at the end of the day, um, it's not about the things. It's like you don't want to take life for granted. You don't want to take these moments that you have in this life for granted. You want to make sure that you're doing everything you can that you can with the time that you're provided. So my biggest takeaway, I would tell you, just to be yourself, be unapologetically you. Know when to turn it on, turn it off, and that's a good thing to do. Don't think of that as a burden. You're not a burden. We all have a purpose. We all serve a reason in this life, and I feel like if you listen to this, you'll understand. Like, hey, I've seen a lot of different things. I've seen it all. Well, I wouldn't say I've seen it all. I've seen enough for someone at 21 for sure. And I just want everybody just to be yourself, be happy, find out what makes you happy. And yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing for sure.
So, Michael, my last question for you. I'm going to read a quote that you shared with us. All right.
Yeah.
So, one thing you says, the biggest thing I've learned so far, seeing a therapist, being more aware about mental health in general, is acceptance for yourself. Acceptance means a lot of things. It means self value, self love, self worth. That means a lot of these things that you kind of overlook over time. And man, is that the truth that we often look over all the time in our everyday lives. Michael, self-acceptance is a big thing that you've talked about. And my last question for you is this: who is Michael Knowles?
Michael knows is I'm a kid from Omaha who has a lot a lot to learn for sure. I would definitely say that because I need to learn a lot more, and that you're never gonna stop learning. Michael Knowles is someone that's very focused, very driven for sure, and I've learned to accept myself for who I am. I can look at myself in the mirror and be like, "Hey, that's me. That's Mike. That's Michael. That's every nickname I've gotten over time for sure." And I can smile and be happy about that. I'm unapologetically me, and it feels great to be in my own skin. It feels great to feel comfortable for sure.
It feels great to be comfortable. I love that. Michael, where can people reach you if they wanted to follow up and just have more conversations with you? Because you're somebody that does advocate for mental health. Where can they reach out?
Um, you can definitely hit me up on any social media. I'm all ears for everything, for sure. Any struggle that you're going through, I'm literally a phone call or text message away, a DM away. So all my social medias, uh, $ Mike on Twitter, Mike no underscore 13 on Instagram, and then I want to say my Snapchat's blueprint underscore 23 or something like that. But yeah, hit me up on any of those. You can email me anytime, and hopefully, yeah, we'll have great convos for sure.
And he won't be too shy to give you some music recommendations too. So again,
Sure, I got them on standby. Got them in the duffel for sure.
thank you, Michael, for taking this time to be our guest today on Inside the Mind of a Husker. Um, Best of luck the rest of this semester. May your skills continue to be with you. And again, if there's one thing people can take away from Michael too is self-acceptance. And he's a true example of what that comfortable feeling looks and feels like. So again, thank you, Michael, and we'll see you next time.